What's good with the YouTube? You already know Big Flaco with the convict's perspective. And I'm going to smash, dash, slide on through that little bit of energy. What's good with it, everybody, man? Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel. And hit that bell notification for future fire content, man. As you already know, I spit this stuff raw. You know what I'm saying? I don't get up to, with all the theatrics and all the designs and all that stuff, man. I'm just going to come at you directly. That's what I'm going to do again with part 2 of my story a little bit, man. We're going to talk about the area up until high school basically is where we last left off, man. You know, I got jumped in my hood. I forgot what year it was, man. Somewhere between like 90 to 91, 89. I forget, man. I remember it was me, homeboy Rascal, and a bunch of other homeboys that were more my age group. You know what I'm saying? And, I was the first one to raise my hand. I remember it was fucking the homeboy Boo Boo, Chuco, and fucking Casper. You know what I'm saying? Vicente. And Casper came out. Casper used to not really always kick it with the homeboys, but when he came through, he's one of the original, founders of the hood. So he comes out, who wants to get in the hood? And I said, me. And then he just came and swung at me. I ducked. Next thing I got rushed. Bam! They gave me the business. I was young. They were like between the ages like 17 and 20. And they stopped me out, which was pretty good. I did what I could, but there was a little fight back, man. I'm in the hood now. But then I'm already getting tattoos on my neck, going to different high schools. I went to, Independence. I went to Overfelt. I went to San Jose Community. I went to the Foundry. I went to Airpoint. I went to all these different schools, man. And I got kicked out for different reasons. Got arrested, at school, all kinds of things, Hit one kid with a fucking chair in class. Got caught smoking weed with homeboy Starveso, Scooby from King City, and a couple other homeboys. And, I started to get to know people, and be outside of just my hood. Went to the Juvenile Hall Boys Ranch. Chunked him in there with Southsiders, other homeboys. I got off a lot when I was in there because I was from a small town, and the way I look, I always felt like I had to prove myself, you know what I mean? And so I did, you know what I'm saying? I even got into it with dudes that were supposed to be like, at that time in Juvenile Hall with the shit, where I wouldn't bow down. That's one thing I used to respect about Robert Perez, Happy from Illinois, was he didn't give a fuck who it was. He was ready to chunk him with anybody. And a lot of people didn't like him, but he wasn't no punk. And I remember me and him were playing a game, and I think it was Monstro from fucking ESF tried to fucking sit there and tell me to fucking try to pump me off the game. I told him, nah, I ain't going nowhere. He goes, well, fuck you. And I said, well, fuck you then. And that's when Happy kind of respected me over that, because a lot of dudes would bow down on that dude. And I am a little skinny little kid, but I'm like, fuck that. And the thing is that Monstro knew my homeboys because, Chocolate and all those cats from ESF, man, and Indio and all them, he's kicking with all my homeboys because my homeboy, Boo Boo's cousin, was Coconut Larry, who's bottom of my ESF from that hood, started ESF. So we were always tied in with ESF. There were certain hoods we were tied into, Capitol Park, ESF, and we're cool with cats from Montalban as well, like Chemo and them. And then the Matas, because homeboy's sister was married to the Matas and different families. So we were always tied into somebody in San Jose where we were kind of good. Anyways, so I ended up going to the Juvenile Hall Ranch. And anybody that's been to the ranch and Juvenile Hall that's from a small town, it's like you're in a total different world from outside your hood. You know what I'm saying? You're in here now. This is your whole focus. And a lot of times you won't be around too many homeboys from your hood in there. I wasn't around not one homeboy from my hood, right? I go there, I did about I ran twice, ran the second time with Rocky from Capitol Park. And, I'd always be on the run on the streets. I'd always be like homeless and shit, run away from home and just wouldn't be home, living on the side of the freeway, going from pad to pad. I'd have to borrow clothes from different homeboys. I'd have to wear shoes that were too fucking small and fucking get blisters and my feet would be bleeding and all the normal stuff that you do when you're on the streets. I just didn't want to go home. And, there's a lot of stuff that was going on in the household too, where, I didn't want to be around my dad. I remember I had a bad experience when I was like about was it like 11 years old? I ran away, or 12. And, because my dad fucking made me go in the backyard and tried to force me to eat dirt and all kinds of shit. And, one day he did some other shit where I forgot he kicked me when I was on the floor, and I grabbed a duck decoy that was a design. I tried to swing it at him, and I took off running. So I was gone on the streets for 4 or 5 days. I go down to the police station as a kid trying to fucking sit there and say, you know what, I'm being abused at home, right? I'm only 12 years old. And you know what they do? They call my parents to take me to Juvenile Hall. Yeah, that was the one that was assaulted. You know what I'm saying? That was my first time where I didn't trust police. This is when I was in a young age. Like I said, 11 or 12 at that time. Um, from there on, I didn't trust any cops. And so I go through everything out in the streets. And by the time when I hit the streets when I was 18, I went to the county jail for running from the boys' ranch and turning 18. So from juvenile hall to the county jail. And at that time in the 90s, you were kind of told stuff like, they'll rape you up in there, they'll fucking butt fuck you and this and that if you're a punk and shit. So I didn't know what to expect going from juvenile hall to county. I'm hearing all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I fell in line with the homeboys, was in 6A for a minute, which was observation, then sent to M2A, M2B, I think it was. Got off in a couple fights while I was there. You know what I'm saying? Homeboys, other races and whatnot. Earned my respect when I was there. And got out. And when I got out, I hit the streets running. You know what I'm saying? Was out there running hard, man. And when I came out there was a lot of homeboys from like being men that were out there that were youngsters that they knew me because I used to jam them up a couple of times. There was a couple of issues with a couple of homeboys out there where the ones that were like almost like my age and younger that were from VMLs were running into cats from BMN, like this cat Playboy and all that, and the cat Scooby, and I punked all these cats and shit. And I roll up on the cats from BMN, and it was Ozin, Dreamer, Little Dreamer. I've known Dreamer since he was fucking a kid. Dreamer's from 18th Street now down south. You know what I'm saying? But that was like my little protege out there in the hood. Him, Smokey, and then fucking Pilon, Joe, right? All these cats. They used to kind of look up to me the way. So when I'd run into them, you know what I'm saying? Like Ozin, the first time I met homeboy Ozin, I knocked out some cat from Sunnyvale and stomped him out because the dude said he was from my hood. I was on the OT for the ranch. And I remember fucking Ozin was just a little, like a little chinito, man, heavy set. But now they're all gangbanged. And so I'm all right. I just got out, man. I heard that there's a lot of Southsiders out here, man. And we started all mobbing around. And at the time I had a Regal. So we used to get the stolos or whatnot, but I'd have all these youngsters, right? And to me, they weren't that young. I was only 18 years old. And we used to just pull up on these cats. We pulled up the first time I took them out there, they pulled a shotgun out on me and fucking me. Let me see, who was with me? Fucking Joe, Chino. They pulled a shotgun at some cat named Pete the Loco, the Southsider. Eventually, I caught his ass slipping, man, and ran and fucking caught him down the street another day. So we were hitting these cats right and left, you know what I'm saying? And it was different because all these kids were like between the ages like 15, 14, 16, and they were deep. And so they were having issues with other hoods, you know what I'm saying, out there in Milpitas as well that were banging Sanjo. And so we said, you know what, you guys are banging Milpas, you know what I'm saying? We're going to rock with you guys. I actually brought the cats from BMN over to the homeboys from VMLs, and then the homeboys were just fucking jamming them up, like sizing them up and shit, like who wants to get in fucking the hood? And homeboys like Ozin and a couple other cats were like, they wanted to get in. I said, no, we're not going to do all that. And so we just started rocking. We started rocking with the youngsters from BMN at that time. Anybody from BMN, first gen, knows this is a fact. And it was me that pretty much aligned to both the hoods. And for a minute, we were going to do VMLs, BMN, then VMLs, BMN. But then after a while, we're like, man, we're the ones that started the shit as far as men battles, the ones that went with something different outside of Sunny Hills. And we started pushing that line. And we started rocking together. You know what I'm saying? And, when I caught my shooting, I had two cats from BMN that were with me, my co-defendants. You know what I'm saying? Numerous cases. They'd come to the pad and all that. So, like, that's where the BMN and our affiliation with them came right then. So it's basically the same fucking hood. BMN, VMLs are basically the same hood. How it got there is different. But a lot of it stemmed from issues we had with a hood called Valle Mas Chingon. You know what I'm saying? Because I know VMC is now out there in San Jose and they have certain territories. And, I used to go out with the ex-wife of the one that started VMC, who was also a friend of mine, who was from West Side Song. Rest in peace to him. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, there was only about 3 or 4 cats that were banging Milpas from that hood, and the rest was claiming Sanjo. And we took it as disrespect because these dudes were saying they're from Sanjo, but it was like this. They may have been born in San Jose. They may have went to school out there till they were in first grade, but then they've been living in Milpas their whole fucking life. That's where the issue started to stem. It was right there. Okay, so, and at one time they were going to align with us because they used to kick it. And they used to look up to the homeboys from VMLs because they were all on Dempster's Road selling Esso and Shuri. And when there was issues between like the blacks and the Mexicans, right, in high school, like at the football games or whatnot, they would always run to the neighborhood to get VMLs. Because at that time, you had like GLC, which was a party crew, fucking DCT, Destiny's Chosen Tribe, VMC, Vadio Machingon, and then Sunny Hills. Sunny Hills was kind of dead by then, though. So that was all that was cracking at that time. So out there, we were kind of being outnumbered, and I was getting in shootouts all the time. Like literally, they had a little special program that they had in Indian Hills where they were moving families from Southern California into the apartment complex on vouchers. And next thing you know, they went from having no Sudanos to having about 20 to 30 of them in this fucking apartment complex. And so these were not typical Sudanos from San Jose. They were Sudanos that were from Southern California. They eventually tied into cats from San Jose. So we were getting shootouts. My car got shot up. I shot like 2 of them one time on Dempsey Road. I shot their house. They shot my car up. All kinds of shit. It was just back and forth, and I was always strapped. And it got to a time period to where it was natural just to have a shootout broad daylight, and we'd never experienced that before. And all the homeless from my generation were more in San Jose at the time. You know what I'm saying? They were starting to work. They were starting to do this and that. They weren't out there trying to push that line. So it was mainly me with a bunch of cats from BMN. And then sometimes I'd call the other homeboys like Chode or Lubick or Rascal and a couple of cats from VMLs. They'd come down and rock with us. And it was wild. 96 was a wild year. 96 and then probably 92 to 94 were kind of the wild time. I mean, where a lot of stuff was going on out there in San Jose. And yeah, I was gone for 95. And eventually I caught my case, which was for a drive-by shooting on Vadio Machingon. That was in 96. We had rushed about me and the homeboy Rascal rushed about 10 or 12 cats from KNR, VMC, and this other hood called ESN, Eastside North Daniels. And it all started because I was on Calaveras coming off off of Carnegie, I think it was. And I made a left, and then right there by Cal Hills on Calaveras, there's an apartment complex, and I see my ex. Now, my ex was Valerie at that time, Calderon. She's the one that got found out up in the hills by Mount Hamilton that was dead. Killed by her ex. So I see her, and I stop, and she's with her homegirl. She goes, well, VMC and K and R and all them are over there. I'm like, man, fuck them fools. So they come out, and there's about we see a couple more like, man, fuck you, like, whoa, 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 Levas and doing all this shit. And we take off. And I tell homeboy Rascal, I said, bro, we're not supposed to do that, bro. Because in the hood, it was like this. If we were fucking 10 deep and we catch like 3 of you, we're going to jump you. If there's 2 of us, we see 5 or 6 of you, we're supposed to rush you. And I told homeboy, we're going back. So we come around. I pull up all fucking crazy, right? And fucking Rascal, he was with it. He jumped out. I popped the trunk because I'm smart, because I had a little pan back there to wash the fucking car. He starts fighting. He ends up getting dropped. Fucking, I forgot who it was, but one of them dropped him. And then I come with the fucking the fucking swinging the pan and shit like that. And I'm getting people to back up off him. And then he gets up and we decide to smash off. He has a busted lip. But we rushed him. They can't say we didn't, because when we would catch cats, even on even playing field, a lot of times the cats would take off. All the time. And they can never say that I ever fucking ran from none of them cats. Even when they had hitters. And there was a couple cats from that hood that I was getting along with. You know what I'm saying? And that whole battle started when, in the last video, when we talk about how we jumped this dude, and he testified against homeboy. And that's how the VMC, VML thing kind of re-kicked off. And then BMN got involved in it. And ironically, the funny thing is that the one that kind of kicked it off was the one that, the reason why that kicked off how I ended up in prison and how we ended up flunking, he's out there on the streets active. Shit you not. But that's how I fought my case right there, man. That's where I went to the county. They locked me up in the snake pits. And I just got out on bail. I bailed out on an assault case that me, Wino from Horseshoe, and then the homeboy Joey Vega, who's from down south, he's a Sureño now, who was originally from down south, but used to rock with us. His stepbrother was Sapo from Horseshoe. So me, Wino from Horseshoe, and Joey, we caught the case. We beat the shit out of some dude in front of my house, and the neighbors called the cops. So at that time, like I said, it was wild. You know, I was kicking it with everybody from everywhere. Shots at the Wino from a Horseshoe, man, because he was there when we brushed a whole carload of Sureños broad daylight on Calaveras Park, Victoria. He had my back. You know what I'm saying? The dude that was with us cowered out, but Rhino was there. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, this is part two. I'm gonna be doing bits and pieces here and there throughout the week. Maybe I'll do part three next week.